Good morning and welcome to Allen Avenue Unitarian Universalist Church's online worship. I'm John Howard and my pronouns are he, him, his. I serve as a member of the congregation's Board of Trustees. We are a freely gathered, open, welcoming congregation supported by your contributions, which can be made with the donate button on our website, by going to our Breeze program if you are a member, or by mailing your check to 524 Allen Avenue, Portland, Maine. Please note if your donation is your pledge or a gift to our Share the Plate. Our Share the Plate for January is Portland Area Villages. Portland Area Villages is a community-based membership organization whose goal is to help people stay safely in their homes with as much independence as possible by providing volunteers to assist with transportation, light household chores, and regular phone check-in. Some of our church members are volunteers, and some are members of this organization. It was nominated by Clay Atkinson. To learn more about this program, please go to our website and click on Share the Plate under the slideshow. You are invited to join us today, January 3rd, at 10:45 for our congregational conversation and coffee hour. This Zoom link can be found on our website and order of service. To learn more about Allen Avenue Unitarian Universalist Church, our website can be found at A2U2.org.
Good morning. I'm happy to do today's chalice lighting with these words. Deep calls unto deep. Joy calls unto joy. Light calls unto light. Let the kindling of this flame rekindle in us an inner light of love, of peace, of hope. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Erica Bartlett, and for our Time for All Ages today, I want to talk a little about our theme for this morning's service. The topic is new beginnings, and right now we all have a new beginning since it's the start of a new year. But you've probably experienced lots of other new beginnings. A new school year, a new teacher, new friends, new hobbies. Maybe you've had a new brother or sister, or you've moved to a new house. Or maybe you had a beginning like I did a year and a half ago, which is getting a new pet. For me, I got 2 new cats, and I was both excited and nervous. Excited because I like cats and was looking forward to having them, but I was nervous because I didn't know much about them or how they'd get along. Maybe you felt like this too when you start something new or get a new friend. You don't know exactly how things will turn out, and you hope they'll go well, but you also know they might not go the way you want. And sometimes you can be so nervous about new things that it takes a while to get used to them. That's what happened with my cat Pangea, who's sleeping behind me. When I brought her home, I kept her in a spare bedroom for a couple of days so she could get used to being in a new house. But even when I opened the door, she was too nervous to come down the stairs for 2 whole weeks. I could tell she wanted to come down, but she just didn't quite have the courage. It reminded me of how I sometimes feel when I go places where there are a lot of people I don't know. Maybe that happens to you too. And you just wait a little while to see how things go. But once you're comfortable, you start talking to people and getting involved. At least that's what happened with Pangea. Now that she's had a lot of time to get used to being with me, she's very outgoing and adventurous. She's explored the kitchen counter, the cupboards, the bathtub, and she even figured out how to get to the top of my living room closet. But not everyone is like that. Some people are more like my other cat, Fezzik, and when they have a new beginning, they're comfortable right away. Even when I met Fezzik at the animal shelter, he wasn't nervous about all the people coming and going. He just wanted to come up and say hi to everyone. And once I brought him to my house, he was right at home. He wanted to investigate everything, like the dryer. And my yoga mat is a favorite. He also liked to hang out with me from the beginning, whether on the coffee table, on my lap, or when I'm working. And he made friends with Pangea right away. It was very cute when he started grooming her, and I get a kick out of watching them watch squirrels sitting next to each other. And sometimes they just hang out on the couch. Maybe you're like that too, and you get so excited about new things that you don't feel nervous or not too much. You just get involved as soon as you can and start meeting people and having fun. And even if things don't work out quite the way you want, you just try something else and hope for the best. New beginnings happen all the time, and everyone has different ways of getting used to them, and that's okay. I just hope that you find some things to get excited about as we start the new year.
Hello, I'm Rick Kimball, and I watched several baseball games in preparation for writing today's reflection. You see, I heard the service title wrong. I heard not new beginnings, but new big innings. Well, that really was wrong, so I guess we can get rid of the baseball images and move on. But how wrong was it? Any new baseball inning is a new beginning, and whatever happens in that inning can make it a new big inning. Though, of course, it won't be a new beginning very long, because when it is over, it will be an old beginning, oxymoronic though that may sound. Well, let's not bog down what old beginnings are. New beginnings is our topic, so we should stick with that. Stick, as in baseball bat, because baseball innings can be very instructive. They are indeed new beginnings. They offer the team a bat a chance to overcome a 19-0 deficit, and the team on the field a chance to close things down so they can go home and have a beer. New beginnings. But new beginnings are not limited in sport to baseball. You can find them in football too. Every huddle offers a new beginning. And on the track, every starting gun offers a chance to better your record, to begin a new and more successful lap of your dashing career. That starter's gun reminds me of an alarm clock, the jangling thing that signals a new day, a new beginning. And that thought reminds me of Liz Glynn, a woman who once belonged to this church, an older woman who experienced severe medical problems. "I never thought I would get cancer," she said from our pulpit, "and I never thought I would go blind." Then she smiled, and she added, "Every day a new adventure." I sometimes think of her when I wake in the morning, then I pry my eyes open and look at a photograph on our wall of a boy leaping into the sea, becoming one with the water. Every day a new adventure, every day a new beginning. Well, that smacks of platitude, does it not? But Liz Glynn showed us how to turn platitude to promise. It's all about attitude. And attitude, my friends, is what we have to work on, a job that's not always easy. Some of my own morning wakings are very, very sour. The day, even before it begins, looks drear. But I have a cure for that, a cure that actually sometimes works. Eyes still closed, I challenge myself to creative act. I will not start the day in a funk, I say. I'll think up a poem instead, and on some days I do. Here is an example. I've gone around the bend, my friend. I've gone from beginning to end. Your condolences please to send, my friend, for I've gone around the bend. But is an end the end, my friend, or do ends start new life to spend? So new beginnings equal end, my friend, and keep us rounding around the bend. Is it time this poem to rend, my friend? I hope that's not what you intend, for I don't know how I would fend, my friend, being kicked again around the bend. Well, who can stay in bed with a poem like that lying beside him? Not I. I leave my new poems for Tyrrell and the cat to cope with, and up I rise, mumbling about new adventures, fresh starts, new beginnings. And in the best of times I feel a surge of energy. I am off and running. I'm on my way into a brand new part of life, new beginnings having paved the way. And in the worst of times I at least force myself to stay out of bed. This day's new beginnings have failed, but here's where that attitude thing comes in. Just wait till tomorrow, I must say. Tomorrow I'll have new beginnings. There is always hope if I can bring myself to accept it. If the new tomorrow begins with creative act, no matter how middling its product, then there's a very good chance that I will indeed feel that surge of productive energy that both signals and grows out of new beginnings. Every creative act is a new beginning, and every new beginning is an invitation to new creation, all of which, my friends, is really great news. Blessed be.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the to that rock I'm clinging, since love prevails in heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing when tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near? How can I keep from singing to prison cell and dungeon vile? Our thoughts to them are ringing, when friends by shame are undefiled. How can I keep from singing?
Hi, I'm Susie Hubley, and as I was thinking about what to say in this reflection, the title of a book on my table caught my eye. The title was "It's Never Too Late to Begin Again," and my first thought was, I don't want to begin again. It is too late. The book isn't specifically about new beginnings in the more profound sense of rising from the ashes, spreading your wings, and starting completely anew. It's about finding new creativity and meaning later in life. Well, actually, that is pretty profound, come to think of it. But my mind leaped to the most dramatic meaning, and I began asking myself what that reaction was all about. Like most people, I have started over, sometimes enthusiastically, sometimes not, several times in my life. When I was very young, I became addicted to barbiturates, and I kicked that addiction and got into therapy, and my life changed. Then, 20 years later, I gave up drinking, and sobriety, in some really important ways, sobriety was like being born again. In 1988, I quit my longtime job at the newspaper and went back to school full time. Though I hadn't liked being at the paper in years, the change completely turned my head around. Suddenly, I was in academe, reading long, wordy French novels in French, and scared to death that I couldn't cut it. But I did, and I graduated. And then after a while, I was working at my alma mater, happy about the change, but missing the familiarity of my cynical and very funny newspaper buddies. In 1999, I dug up my whole yard and made it into a garden. Took a few years. That was the beginning of an obsession that has painted my life a rainbow of colors. My most recent new beginning came with the decline and the deaths of my parents, my retirement, and the realization that I needed a deeper connection with others and a spiritual home. It was that need that brought me to A2U2. Each of these life changes has called on resources I didn't know I had: strength to feel and get through grief, resiliency to live with the unknown, and a spirit of adventure that doesn't emerge very often at all in my life. Though some of these changes were exciting, well, they were all exciting in their own way, none of them was easy. I'm sure that life holds at least one more new beginning for me. As I know all too well from helping my parents, the changes aren't always welcome as you get older. Even a wonderful change seems like a lot of work. I'd sort of like to just continue with things the way they are, with a tweak here and there for the better. I haven't read that book that I mentioned yet, but I've read another book by the same author, and I know it's a good book, and I am going to read it. Um, and it may even inspire me to become creative in a new and exciting way, which would be great, just as long as I don't have to rise from any ashes anymore. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mike Luce. My pronouns are he, him, and his. And I'm entitling my piece this morning, Back to the Beginning. Quite a few years ago, I, as a matter of self-preservation, took up woodworking along with a lot of other things to help support myself in a challenging career. And the first thing I started out with, because I lived in an apartment at the time, was this. It's called a chip carving knife. And just as the name implies, you make chips. All you do in the initial stages is make 3 cuts and chip out a triangle. Oh, there he is. See, I put 2 of them together right there. There's the single one I started with. And the idea is that you can put together lines of these. It's a very simple exercise. Once you've gained a little bit of control of the knife and you know how deep it's going, because the idea is you want to meet in the middle at that triangle, then you can do curved lines very easily. And it just brings out that one piece. Pops right out, see? And then I have a beautiful little start to a line. I can do anything I want with it. So after a while, when we moved and whatnot, and I started getting machines, and I was building furniture and this and that, and at some point I took the best vacation of my life, which was a deep dive into carving. And then I got serious and I started using gouges like this, all different sizes. You can do all kinds of stuff with them. And one of the things I started working on a little while ago was from this piece of Dawn redwood from our front. It's the last piece I have, and I started making faces with it. Thing is, this is about the 3rd face in this piece of wood. Each time it gets a little deeper. You can see how it's receded into the wood there. And each time that I begin again on it, he's a new guy, which I think is kind of neat. And then I got interested in going back to this. And then I started, because it's much more challenging to carve with a single blade than with all different shapes and sizes and gouges, which I have and I love. And you start doing things like this. That's the beginning of a face. And you end up with something like that, maybe. Or, if you did 3 or 4 beginnings and none of them worked, then you end up with a mushroom. Which is fine. That's the thing about beginnings. You may have an idea when you begin. You're probably going to begin again. And you may well end up someplace entirely different and wonderful. I like mushrooms.
O healing river, send down your waters, send down your waters upon this land. O healing river, send down your waters to wash the blood from off the sand. This land is parching, this land is thirsting, no seed is growing in the barren ground. This land is parching, this land is thirsting. O healing river, send your waters down. Let the seed of freedom awake and flourish. Let the deep roots nourish. Let the tall stalks rise. Let the seed of freedom awake and flourish.
breeze uncurling against the skies. O healing river, send down your waters, send down your waters upon this land. O healing river, send down your waters to wash the blood from off the sand.
Good morning. I'm Keith Prairie, and I'm a member of the worship committee. This is called The Crucible. When I think of new beginnings, several things start to rumble through my brain. When I look at the country and the world and politics, my hope is for change. COVID has forced us to find new ways to make connections. COVID and politics have been crucibles where much has melted, and now is the time for something new to form. We can be catalysts to how and what forms of this crucible. That is the bigger picture, but what about me personally? What does new beginnings mean for me? Sometime this year, it is very likely I will retire and make some major changes in my personal life. I want to have time to sit back and reflect and contemplate more. As many of you know, I'm a musician. I imagine spending time honing my abilities, networking, and making space to be a folk musician. I dream it will be an area where I can continue to have creative outlets, grow, and make some money while doing that. A few years ago, I made the observation that many of the older and well-known folk musicians had passed on, were aging, and no longer active. And although the folk music communities are doing okay, or were before COVID, that it's necessary for younger folks to step up and become leaders. I was greatly saddened when Pete Seeger passed, and had the feeling that he was not one who could be replaced. And other musicians are moving out of the limelight. Gordon Bach has stopped touring and now only does local fundraisers. Kendall Morris, one of my favorite main storytellers, has succumbed to throat cancer and arthritis, to where he no longer performs. Bill Spence, who was largely responsible for an upsurge in the popularity of the hammer dulcimer in the 1970s, passed away a few years back. And John Prine and Bill Withers are gone. These are just a few of the names of people who I've been following and music I've played. As I approach retirement and become vocal about my intentions, I feel the struggle of not thinking I'm good or gifted enough. And to become a well-known musician is to step past my shy, introverted self and become persona with boundless energy. There must be a middle ground, one where I can be true to myself and send the vibrations I make into the world. This seems true for many of us. How do we make something? Take a picture, sing, draw, paint, write, or teach, or tell a story, and be true to creativity and sharing of the heart. How do I make music for others and be authentic about myself? Convey the story of a song or the feeling of a tune, and not trip over myself, fumble a word, or miss a note. When I've shared my creativity here and heard your feedback, when I've seen others at A2U2 become more fulfilled through their own creative process, when I feel how engaged we are from enthusiasm in breakout rooms and emails and conversations, and when I've heard appreciation from you for the creativity, ingenuity, and commitment from all of us who sustain this community, it gives me energy to continue and reason to connect and thrive through these difficult times. The creative process is messy. When you compose, it starts out rough. In your mind, you know how it sounds. But muscle memory is not there for hands to conform to what you hear in your head. It's like a painter mixing colors until the reality of the hues become what she sees in her mind's eye. The creative process goes from initial thought and feeling, through drafts, improvisation, revisions, and practice, until something comes with polish. The oblique and tangential things that draw you from the process, the wrong notes, following a pattern or to break from it, remembering to play the B part twice, or when to jump to another tune, and of course distractions, the thoughts that rip you from the flow. Was that the third time through? Did I pay that bill? Why is that woman in the second row yawning? And those annoying things that flick at your attention and melt your focus. As I contemplate this coming year and vocalize a new beginning, I see a place where I can be creative and a catalyst. I see a candle with wax dripping down the side of a perfect cylinder, melting and flowing. Gravity is always working to find a direct route down the chalice. Like a crucible, it is a place where life is pooling and forming a new beginning. Blessed be.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry.
May we each and all embrace the new beginnings promised by our new year. May we use our new beginnings to form and realize new dreams. May we fill our new dreams with new ways to benefit Earth and all dependent on it. May we find in our new beginnings new ways to achieve great ends.